Every relationship has a story, multiple stories, but not everyone is proud of theirs. Some chapters might feel like victories, others feel like failures. And some chapters you may be totally lost on. And some, for a lot of people, feel like chapters or stories that they're still experiencing on repeat. And that's normal, but it doesn't have to be. Because here's the truth: the story that you tell about your relationship is the one that you end up living, my friends. Welcome to another Catalyst Conversation for a Relationship Revolution, where we challenge the unquestioned assumptions about love, flip the script on what you've been taught, and reveal the truths that no one's told you. Here, we unlock a whole new paradigm of partnership, one that anchors in consciousness and empowerment and results in the kind of relationship that most people only dream of. Now, if you've been following along this month, we started this Proud Love series by exploring what it means to be proud of yourself, to lead your relationship from an empowered, relationally intelligent place, right? To feel good about who you be in your relationship. And then we started talking about what it means to be proud of who we are, right? Clarifying who the two of you are as a couple and what it means to really be a team and to intentionally develop that third entity that is the magic of the two of you together. Now, if you missed either of those episodes, just let me know. Replay Proud of Me, replay Proud of We, and I'll make sure to get you access. But today we're taking a new direction and talking about the stories we carry about our relationship. These are the stories that shape us. They're the short stories that we learned from our past, the ones that we've inherited from our parents or from the culture, community that we're in. These are the stories that we are still writing. And even if you don't have a clear vision of your couple identity, what's really important about this conversation is that you do have stories that you're telling about your relationship, stories about who you are, about what happened, about what all of this means. And those stories are powerful. They're affecting your relationship, whether you're aware of it or not. But most people don't realize how powerful these stories are. And nor do they realize how much they are affecting what they're experiencing in relationship, nor how much power they have to change their own stories. And that's what we're diving into today. As always, this conversation might challenge you. It might make you uncomfortable, and it might just set you free. And that's the whole point. So before we get into the good stuff, let me take a minute to introduce myself for those of you who may be new to these conversations and me. My name is Dr. Jenny Wallig. I am an award-winning mentor, speaker, author, and rebel with a PhD. I am the co-founder of PowerfuLove Relationships and creator of a proven method that helps high-achieving entrepreneurs to transform their relationship, making it the fuel to their success and every one of their dreams, even if it feels like they've tried everything already, and even if their partner isn't on board yet. This is the exact kind of work that we do in our PowerfuLove programs. And it's the same kind of work that has helped dozens of leaders rewrite their stories, shift their patterns, and completely transform their connection. So I want to talk a minute about why paying attention to our stories is so important. First of all, you're not going to lead a relationship that you're proud of if you're ashamed of it, right? Like this, and our story is a part of how we feel about our relationship. We also can't intentionally write our future if we're avoiding our past. You can't feel proud of who you are if you're not confronting the truth of how you got here and narrating an understanding of how you got here that can feel good despite how hard it's been. Your story matters, not because it's perfect, but because Whether you know it or not, you choose to keep writing it. You're doing that either consciously or unconsciously. And so this conversation is about taking ownership of your narrative so you can stop living inside a story that drains you and start telling one, writing one, experiencing a story that liberates you, that fuels you. Because here's the thing, the revolutionary idea for today, and lean in, listen up, write this one down. We don't live in facts. We live in interpretations. And interpretation, my friend, is storytelling. It's a story that you create these interpretations, and most of the time, quite unconsciously. Our brain is constantly scanning for meaning, right? We actually, in neuroscience, we've come to understand that our brain makes sense of our experiences through story, which is why storytelling is such a powerful motivator, such a powerful teaching tool. It's stories that we remember. It's stories that affect our lives so profoundly, right? That we just never forget the story of, or this story that we read, or this story that we heard. Stories are powerful. And it's because our brain understands and makes sense of the world in stories. So as our brain is scanning our environment for meaning, right? We're taking this raw data of whatever's happening outside in the world, and we are, and our brain very quickly, very unconsciously is asking the question, what does this mean? Is it safe? What should I expect? And it it makes those conclusions based off of our expectations, our frameworks, essentially our beliefs from the stories that we have developed and are carrying from our past. I think I read recently something, I wish I could remember this better, but there was something about like how we are never actually experiencing reality as it is. We are experiencing reality as we interpret it based on our past, right? So like the present moment is always like experienced as an interpretation from our past. Fascinating stuff. I won't go any further down that rabbit trail, but there's truth and there's science to this, guys, okay? So we create the answers to like, what does this mean? Is this safe? What should I expect? On like using stories, and that meaning becomes a story. But here's the kicker, like this is super important. Our brain is wired to remember what hurts more than what heals, to lock in on what threatens us more than what feels good or connects us or benefits our lives, because what threatens us, that's more important to our survival. But what that means in our relationships is that the stories that we carry, that we create unconsciously, right, without this awareness and consciousness, our stories about our partner, our past, our pain, our problems are less truth, less facts than they are survival. And they're missing a whole bunch of information about what's good and what's working. So then what happens is what we expect to see again based on those stories is what we often unconsciously help create. And I'm gonna talk to you about a really powerful tool that we use with our clients in a little bit, that I want to give you access to, that like dives deeper into this understanding, and it shows you the way to like shift the story and change the outcome. So put a pin in that, but we're gonna get to it. But I want to slow down for a moment and like talk about like anchor in what this really means. First, you're writing your own story, my friend. Not the facts, not what happens, but the meaning that you have given to it. Your interpretation of the facts, of the raw data, right? The story you tell about it. And that story, that meaning, that's where your power lives. Because, and this is number two, the story you tell becomes the story you live. If you keep telling yourself the story that you're unseen, that your partner doesn't get it, that your partner can't listen, that they're not safe, that nothing ever changes, then that becomes the lens through which you will see every word, every gesture, every silence, every missed connection, right? Every reaction, every response. It doesn't matter what they do or how many things they get right. If those are the lenses that you are interpreting all of their interactions, then that is what you're going to experience. And our brain, there's a part of our brain called the reticular activating system that does a really good job attending to what we expect to find and dismissing, minimizing, forgetting any evidence to the contrary. So anything that your partner does good or right, they're not paying attention to. And I bet you have felt this in reverse, right? I bet you have felt it, that like this experience where it's like your partner has 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 only paid attention to everything that you do wrong, and is like developed this story about you, this perception of you that you are this terrible, unreliable, or unloving person, and completely neglected to take into consideration all of these many wonderful things that you do right. That is the power of your story. What I'm describing is happening for you is the same thing that's happening for them. And so this is so powerful and so revolutionary, y'all, because when we learn that we are the authors of our story and that we can go back and we can reauthor that shit, right? We can change the story. We can change what we expect. We can change what we interpret, the meaning that we give to what's happened. And then when we do that, it changes the meaning that we give to what's happening, which changes how we show up, which changes the response that we get from our partners, which changes everything. So by changing the story of our past, you change your leadership in the present and you create a different story for the future. This is what empowered relational leadership actually looks like. It doesn't mean pretending everything's fine. It doesn't mean taking responsibility for the narrative that your partner carries and trying to convince them to have a different story about you. It means nothing more and nothing less than taking full and radical responsibility for the narrative that you are carrying, and thus for the experience that you are creating, both subjectively internally and objectively externally in the what happens next of your life. When you take responsibility for that narrative, you get to choose the stories that are going to open doors to connection instead of shutting them with blame. Now, I want to pause and give you an example of how powerful this can be. This is a real story of a real client with a fake name. Okay, because I want to protect his identity. So we're going to call him Dylan. And in my work with Dylan, he shared with me essentially the story that he has, which came down to a belief that his wife doesn't respect how hard he works, right? Doesn't appreciate what he's trying to do in the world. And as an entrepreneur, that's a really big deal, right? Like we put our heart and souls into our business and into what we're trying to do. And it's not uncommon that oftentimes our spouse doesn't get it. And that was his experience too. But that story that he was holding, right? That she doesn't respect how hard he works. She like not only doesn't get it, but actively wants to sabotage it, right? Would take it away from him if she could. It affected how he responded, like when she questioned how long he was staying at work. He heard criticism. When she asked him to take time off, he heard disrespect. And even when she thanked him, like for working or for coming home, like it didn't land because the story that she didn't care, that she didn't respect his work was so much louder. But then we got curious, right, about the story that he was telling. And we learned, or we were able to kind of re-story that maybe it wasn't so much about her not respecting his work or how hard he worked, but that she had a different brain and a different interpretation of whether or not that work was necessary, because they already had a lot of money. And for her, in her mind, in her belief system, having enough money means success, which means we don't have to work so hard, right? So it was just this belief and this confusion she had about why he would choose to work so hard. And for her, time was more valuable than money. And she wanted that time and attention from him. She was longing for his presence. It wasn't a judgment of his work ethic. It was a confusion and a desire for more of him. And when Dylan could see that, when the story shifted from she doesn't respect me to she misses me and she doesn't understand why I'm choosing work over our marriage, our connection, everything softened. And suddenly he was less defensive, right? He could stay calm. He could stay connected. He could love her for where she was at, and he could feel her love a lot better. And as that happened, it became much easier to connect, much easier to communicate, and much easier to feel good about the work that he was doing for both of them, and to feel good about the relationship for both of them, right? And it was just the story that changed. She wasn't even part of the discussion. We just got there through exploration and the willingness to consider that maybe another story could also be true, or could be even more true than the one that he had decided previously was what was actually happening. You know, when you change the story that you're telling, you stop reacting from your old wounds, from your patterns and your programming of the past. And you give yourself the opportunity to respond with power and presence. Thus, your relationship becomes this place of choice, of consciousness, intentionality, and co creation, and not one of reactivity. You stop reliving the past and repeating those patterns, and you start creating a love story that you actually want to live. Can you imagine that? What would that look like? What's the story you want to be living, my friend? And how do you start telling it now? So I want to give you a tool to help you in that process. It's called the Wheel of Empowerment. And inside our work, it is one of the most powerful and transformational tools that we teach our clients. It helps you to trace the beliefs, the thoughts, the emotions, the behaviors that shape the outcomes, that shape your experience of your relationship. And more importantly, it helps you to consciously, intentionally, and powerfully shift those. So if you want to explore your own stories and start shifting them, just drop the word wheel in the comments and we will send you our free downloadable workbook. Again, this is a really powerful tool, and it is a great first step to becoming proud of the story that you are creating. Now, if you are a member of the Relationship Revolution, remember to keep an eye out for your activation that is going to help you move deeper in uncovering your stories and writing the most powerful and beautiful and inspiring story that you've ever told about your relationship. And that's going to set you up for success in the story that the love story that continues to be written from here and going forward. Remember, transformation happens when we take this learning and awareness and move it into embodiment and practice, into who we be. If you're not a member of the Relationship Revolution yet, now is the perfect time to join. Inside TRR, that's what I call it for short, the Relationship Revolution, TRR, right? We help you shift the stories, the patterns, the beliefs, the outdated assumptions like we're doing here. We help you shift all of that, but in a deeper, more transformational way, and give you the next step that you need to actually create, transform your relationship, take it to the next level so that you can have the love and the life that you really desire and deserve. And you don't need your partner to get on board with this. It's great if they're involved, but you don't need that, because what you need is just this clear path and your own willingness to go first, to lead, my friend. The link to join the Relationship Revolution or just get more information about it is in the comments. I would love to see you there and to help you realize what is possible in your relationship. I would also love if you drop a fire emoji in the comments if this conversation sparked from something for you. It helps me, it helps the algorithm, it helps spread the love. Or just comment with a relationship story that you're ready to change, that you're ready to let go of. I read every single comment and I respond, and I would love to hear from you. Until then, until next time, 12:30 Pacific every Friday. I will see you then for another Catalyst conversation in a relationship, the revolution. I need some water. Until then, my loves, keep leading with love and revolutionizing the way that you do relationships, because Lord knows our world needs it. See you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more transformational content. It really does make a difference. And don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss an update. Your support helps me continue creating content that can change lives. And if this resonated with you, share it with someone else who may need to hear it, because we are all in this together. Let's spread the love, my friends.